we've talked about all of the different things that we look for as we are reading and how it should sound so that it's nice and smooth. So before I show you that on the chart, I want to go over some of these vowels. So if I call on you, I want you to say if it's a long or short vowel, do the sound, and then you're going to read the three words on the card. So for example, if I held up this one, I would say short A says ah, 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 ah. Apple, ant, cat. So it should look exactly like that as I call on students. Okay. All right. Deleza, you are my first helper. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go, Deleza. Ah, and then read the three words.
Apple.
Good job, apple.
And cat.
Great job. Short A says ah, 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 ah. All right. Paulina, you have the next one.
E.
Short E or long E?
Eh.
Good job. Short E says eh, 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 eh. I want you to read the three words, okay?
A.
Good job.
Big.
B, b, egg. Bag.
Bag.
Good job. L. Let. Great job. Egg, bag, let. Short E. Nice job, Paulina. Okay. Kaya, you have the next one? And we say, short I says I. Your turn.
Short I says it.
Good job, Kaya. If. It. Great job, Kaya. Short I says it. Petra. Petra, can you hear me? Paige, I'm going to have you go, Paige. Short O says ah. On. Good job. Ah. Ah. Good job. dog. Ready? Dog.
Dog.
Good job. Dog. All right. Nicholas.
Short U says
Perfect job.
up, under, bug.
Good job. Boys and girls, could you hear that when he said each of these words, he didn't change the sound that the U made. He didn't go yoop, under, bug. He kept that same sound. Up, under, bug. That's why we made it red, so that you could see I need to keep that same letter, the same sound the whole time. For these longer ones, remember, if it has that bar on the top, we're going to say long vowels, and the long vowels make the letter say their name. So if this is an A, then the A is going to say A. So on these cards, we don't say A, we say A. B, ache, bake. Don't change the sound of the A. Cane, mate. When we have these long vowels here, and then we have what's called a consonant in the middle, that means it's not A, E, I, O, or U. That one is going to separate the sneaky E. We don't hear it, but we have to put it there so that this A doesn't say A. Bake, cane, mate. Okay? Same with the E. The long E is making the E say E. I'm going to call on somebody to read these 3 words. Remember, we don't hear these ones, but they have to stay there so that this E says E instead of E. I'm going to call on Elias to read the words. I see he's raising his hand. Good job. When we have 2 E's next to each other, we say E double E. Always says E. See. Nice job. All right, pause really quick. For our next card, I have long I. Remember, for these long vowels, the I is going to say I. It's not going to say it. We have our sneaky E at the end. So when you're reading these, we won't say that last one, but the I is going to say I because of that E. I'm going to call on somebody to help me read this. Bracket.
Time like.
Let's read them really smooth and not race the teacher, okay?
Time, line, like.
Nice job. Did you guys hear that when he read the I, he said I. He didn't say Tim, Lynn, or lick. He's used the I for that long sound. Time, line, like. Nice job, Bracket. All right, we have 2 more. All right, Kieran, you have long O. Can you tell me the sound for long O?
Long O says ah.
Short O says ah. When it's long O, remember O is saying its name.
Oh.
Good job. O.
Hope, woke, cold.
Nice job. Did you guys hear that O sound while he was reading? Great job, Kieran. So So boys and girls, the U one is a little bit tricky. And the reason that we have to really pay attention as we read these words is that it depends on how it's going to sound by which consonant or these black letters is next to it, okay? So for this middle one, you can hear the long U saying U. Cute. Did you guys hear that? Cute. But for this one, this T next to the long U, it kind of sounds like ooh. Okay? Tube. And the reason we have to do that is because if we were to try and say t-u, it would be like tube. And we know it says tube. So these ones, we just have to try out the sound, just like we practice on those skills, until it sounds like something that we've heard before. Fluke. So these two right here, it sounds more like an ooh. But what we want to make sure we know is that it's not saying So we're not saying tub. Tube, cute, fluke. Okay? Long U.
We wouldn't be saying flake. Flake.
We could say flake, but we would have a long A this time, right, Kieran?
Yeah, and then it wouldn't say flake.
Okay. All right, boys and girls, on my screen. First graders, make sure you're muted, please. That's going to help people when they watch the video that it comes in better. I want to review a lot of these skills we've been practicing, okay? Because we are wrapping up Unit 3. After we wrap up Unit 3, we're going to be learning a new set of skills with brand new books. Be the boss of your reading. I want to just review what that looks like. Aaron, can you read me this card? Number 1.
Stop at the first sign of trouble.
Good job. So if I'm reading a story and I come to a word that I don't know, I don't just skip over it and keep going. I want to stop and tell myself, I don't know that word. My next job is to try something. So think about all of those skills, like breaking the word apart, smashing them together, trying different vowel sounds. That's when we want to stop and try something. If it doesn't work, we try something else. That is why we give you all of these tools for your toolbox, is that if one way doesn't work, try something else. Number 4 says check it. Do a triple check. Our triple checklist is, does it look right? Does it sound right? Does it make sense? So ask yourself those 3 things. Okay? Our next chart we're looking at are the tools for solving and checking hard words. A lot of these cards are the ones that we just talked about, where we want to practice the skill, use our toolbox. If it doesn't work, we try something else. That is why it says try something and check it. We want to look at all the parts of the word. Do you see how they sectioned it off into different pieces? Up here we have it read part by part. So if I had the word fantastic and I noticed I can see the word fan, that's when I would want to stop and check my rest of the word. And then I can do a slow check and crash the parts together. Do you see how all of these skills work together as a team? That's why we introduce them this way, is that they help each other out while you're reading your books. Get a running start. Think about what kind of word would fit. So for that one, I really enjoy teaching that skill because as we are reading or listening to a story, you might stop and think, I don't know what that word is going to be, but it sounds like this word would fit. Then we would want to go to another skill and check and see if all of the letters match those sounds, okay? If we scroll down here, we're thinking about this checklist. Do you see these 3 checks here? Look right, sound right, make sense. Using the picture is always going to be a great tool to use. The pictures in our stories are really going to help us out. But what we notice sometimes is that some of our books don't have a lot of pictures. So that's why we need to think about what's happening. Remember how we practiced playing the movie in our mind? That's going to really help your story come to life. Another set of skills is reading aloud like an expert. Do you guys remember when we were reading the book about the owls and the book about the monkeys? We had to show feelings in each part of the story to help the story come to life. Then we took some sticky notes. We marked important parts of the pages. I also know that we made a little chart about the monkeys where we took key words, we put the main topic in the middle, and then we put all the key words around the story. That made us experts about that topic. And then again, using the drama to bring the topic to life. So the way that we sound when we're reading it is really going to help us understand our stories. What I want you guys to see is that when we go to our next unit, we don't just forget about these skills. We keep using these skills throughout the whole school year. Okay? The last one I want to show you is we already did that one. Check that you're getting it. Okay? So we just used a lot of these skills for Zelda and Ivy. We made a movie to picture what was happening. We were able to close our eyes and listen to the story. We also talked about these little quotation marks. Who remembers what quotation marks do in a book? Go ahead and raise your hand. What do quotation marks do when you're reading a story? Cadence, I see your hand is raised. Can you tell me what quotation marks do in a story?
Oh, I didn't know my hand was raised.
Okay. All right, take a look at your screen. If your hand is up, I'm going to call on you. So if you don't know the answer to the question, go ahead and put your hand back down.
Hey, teacher, I lost a tooth yesterday.
Okay, so that's something that we're going to talk about later, Cadence. But that's a pretty exciting moment in your life, isn't it? Sophia, do you remember what quotation marks do?
Something.
They what?
Something.
Pause something. So
Yeah.
a period can pause something in a story. But I'm talking about these things here. What do those do?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to call on a friend to help her out. Bracket, can you tell us what quotation marks do?
They tell you who's talking.
Good job. Quotation marks tell us who's talking in a story. We can also use the words around the sentence to help us decide who's talking, and we can also use the picture. Awesome job. This last skill that we went over was saying the word the best way that you can and thinking about what it means. So we used the story of Zelda and Ivy, and we talked about the word gazed. And she was gazing at the jar, and we decided that gazed is another word for staring or looking at. Okay? Those skills I want you guys to keep, and so that we can use them throughout the rest of the school year. Before we go, I want to show you our new book that we're going to be focusing on. I read to you just the first page of the story, and it's